The history of the United States is marked by several notorious criminal cases that have captivated the public's attention. In this video, we are exploring the top 10 biggest criminal cases in American history. But before we start, like and subscribe to our channel and press the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Let's get started. Number 10. O.J. Simpson. For this generation, it's hard to get bigger than the O.J. Simpson trial that took place in 1994 to 95. An iconic star in football, television, and film, Simpson was accused of murdering his ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ronald Goldman. Simpson was represented by an all-star legal defense team that was led by Johnny Cochran and included Alan Dershowitz. In October 1995, a jury came back with an acquittal of Simpson, a verdict that divided the nation. The families of the victims came back with a civil suit for wrongful death. With a lower legal bar to hurdle to win this case, they were awarded over $33 million in damages. In 2008, Simpson ended up going to prison on a robbery conviction. Number 9. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping. In 1932, America's most celebrated hero, Charles Lindbergh, was plunged into a heart-wrenching tragedy when his infant son, Charles Jr., was kidnapped from their home in Hopewell, New Jersey. The nation held its breath as the search for the child intensified, and the Lindberghs received countless ransom demands. However, the baby was eventually found dead, his body discovered in the woods just a few miles from their home. The investigation led to the arrest of Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant, who was convicted and executed for the crime. The case remains one of the most infamous kidnappings in American history. Number 8. Beltway snipers. Over the course of about 3 weeks during the fall of 2002, more than a dozen people had been mysteriously shot by an unknown sniper in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. On one single day during the spree, October 3, 5 people were murdered by the sniper in Maryland and D.C. Eventually, the massive manhunt ballooned to include 400 FBI agents. Lee Boyd Malvo and John Mohammed were arrested and convicted. Mohammed was executed in 2009 and Malvo, only 17 years old at the time of the murders, was sentenced to life in prison. Number 7. Assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was one of the most popular presidents in American history. But on November 22, 1963, his first term was cut short. While riding in a presidential motorcade in Dallas, Texas, he was shot and killed. Former U.S. Marine Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the crime, but he too was murdered by a man named Jack Ruby, sparking many theories about a larger conspiracy. After a long investigation, it was determined that the two men operated independently, but controversy continues to swirl around the case. Kennedy's death shocked and outraged the nation, and the motive and even identity of his killer continues to be a topic of debate. Number 6. The Unabomber. Between 1978 and 1995, a serial bomber known as the Unabomber sent 16 bombs to various targets, including universities, airlines, and individuals associated with the scientific community. The bombs killed 3 people and injured 23 others. The Unabomber's manifesto, which was published in the Washington Post and the New York Times, outlined his belief that technology was destroying society. He demanded that the publications print his manifesto in full, and if they complied, he would stop sending bombs. After 8 years of eluding capture, the Unabomber was finally identified as Ted Kaczynski, a former Harvard professor, in 1996. He was convicted on multiple counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 5. Casey Anthony. The day after she reported her daughter, Kaylee, missing in 2008, Casey Anthony was arrested for child neglect, and the following day, authorities say cadaver dogs picked up the scent of human flesh in Anthony's car. In a trial broadcast nearly every day on cable TV, Anthony was acquitted in the death of her young daughter, though she was found guilty of making false statements to investigators. That conviction was later overturned, and Casey Anthony served about 10 days in jail. Nobody has been convicted in the death of the 2-year-old, whose body was never found. Number 4. Manson family murders. In 1967, the Summer of Love brought hippies together in San Francisco, converging around music, anti-war sentiment, and free love. But Charles Manson walked in their midst, preying on mostly young women to build a doomsday cult that was based on white supremacist ideals, couched in hippie lingo. By the summer of 1969, he had dozens of loyal devotees and a base at Spahn Ranch in LA in July and August. Members of the Manson family committed 9 murders, including of well-known actress Sharon Tate. In 1971, Manson and his accomplices faced justice, sentenced to death, and later to life in prison. Number 3. The Zodiac Killings. He's one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, and he was never caught. In the late 1960s, 5 victims in the San Francisco Bay Area were linked to the Zodiac. But the Zodiac claimed to have murdered 37 in total. He taunted local newspapers with letters and ciphers, 2 of which remain unsolved to this day. The killer claimed he was taking lives to serve him as slaves in the afterlife. For over 6 years, the Zodiac Killer terrified the country with his murders. Then in 1974, he disappeared. There still remains an open case file on the Zodiac Killings to this day. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. The murder of John Bennett Ramsey. This child beauty queen's murder in 1996 was never solved. The Black Dahlia murder, the horrific murder of aspiring actress Elizabeth Short in 1947, shocked the nation. D.B. Cooper hijacking in 1971, an unidentified man hijacked a plane, parachuting away with $200,000. The murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, O.J. Simpson's highly publicized trial, was made even more infamous by a 45-minute car chase. Number 2. Al Capone. Infamous American crime star Al "Scarface" Capone was once king of the Chicago Rackets, a Prohibition-era gangster. He ruled a multi-million-dollar empire in the 1920s that was fueled by illegal booze, gambling, and prostitution. Capone is also suspected of being the mastermind behind the 1929 St. Valentine's Day massacre in Lincoln Park that left 7 of his enemies dead. Capone's reign as ruler of Chicago's gangland ended in 1931 when he pleaded guilty to tax evasion and prohibition charges. After serving 7 years and 6 months in federal prison, which included a stay at Alcatraz, Capone was paroled on November 16, 1939. By that time, however, he suffered from paresis derived from syphilis. Capone went into seclusion at an estate near Miami, Florida, where he died of a stroke and pneumonia on January 25, 1947. Number 1. Michael Jackson. Though the King of Pop was never convicted of crimes against children, the shocking trial of Jackson in 2005 was a very public proceeding that followed just about a decade after the singer first being accused of child molestation. The 2005 case was precipitated by a shocking documentary, which led to a stunning raid of Jackson's Neverland compound. Jackson was acquitted in that trial, but before his death, he had agreed to multiple settlements with the families of kids who accused him of abuse. Well, that's it for today, where we've explored the top 10 biggest criminal cases in American history. These cases have all left an indelible mark on American society, and they continue to fascinate and horrify us today. They remind us of the dark side of human nature and the importance of justice and the rule of law. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.